Throughout the presidency of Donald Trump, there have been a few times where, as a Christian, I've sat back and went, huh, the fuck did he just say? One of the most obvious times was the nobody is more loved by God than me post. The other times was the picture of him as Jesus. I'll show you these. I'll show you these right now because they're wild to me. That like okay maybe this post was made and it was a dumb post and he's like shit I shouldn't have did that, and he says nobody knows God better than me and nobody is more loved by God than me. Okay, that's a little that's a little out there. And then there's this image, the image of here, let me move my stupid face, the image of Christ healing a man imposed with Trump's face, uh, to which Trump said, "Oh yeah, I thought he was just a doctor in that picture. I thought that guy was just a doctor. I didn't know that was Jesus. I thought it was just a doctor." Crazy, crazy coincidence. What are you gonna do? And that's the one that I was really like, huh, that's kind of weird because Trump's a blowhard, right? Trump's always bloviating and over the top. And so when Trump's like, nobody is more loved by God than I am, I'm like, all right, whatever. Blow it out your ass. But the thing that really got me, that really, I was like, this is real fucking strange, was the Trump Bible. While I was kind of looking into this, I came across the video of Trump's, I forget what she's called, but basically she's Trump's spiritual advisor. That's her title. And some of the things she has said are off the wall. I mean, this is kind of crazy. Okay, it's getting weird. So let's talk about this Bible for a minute that you can finance with Klarna, by the way, for $90 a month. This Bible is $1,000. Now, I am not a big fan of people. I'm not a big fan of people making money off of Christian faith just because they can. So what we have here is Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America, signature edition Holy Bible. And then on the next page, we have Donald Trump's signature. And I could see this being a wholesome collectible that you could buy. However, $1,000 for a Bible that's printed in China that costs $3 to buy. Now there's also this one for $100. It's just $100 regular Bible. This one doesn't have the signature in it. But I at a certain point, I'm like, okay, you are making an exuberant amount of profit off of these Bibles. I think your average Bible costs about $25. I think that's what I paid for mine. The point being, the Bible is not a super expensive piece of literature. It's not supposed to be a super expensive piece of literature. The point of the Bible is for it to be accessible to people. It's cheap. It's easy to get a hold of. It's easy to read. It's not easy to read, but I mean, it's easy to get one and start reading it. The language is not easy to read. But my point here is, I find it disgusting when you have these mega pastors that are, I need someone to donate $1,000 right now. Somebody can make this church $1,000. You sir, you have $100. Donate $100 to me. And then they these mega churches do this all the time. I find that abhorrent and disgusting. I also find these $100 and $1,000 Bibles to be abhorrent and disgusting. And as someone who voted for Trump, this puts me in a weird spot of, I'm kind of pissed off about this as a Christian. Like, I voted for you to be the president. I didn't vote for you to take advantage of being the president and make a fucking custom Bible and sell it for $1,000. That to me seems blasphemous. That to me seems like it's not the right thing to do, maybe. But nothing is more egregious than the things this woman has to say, Trump's spiritual advisor, Now, once again, this is a moist critical video that I found. I am a huge fan of Charlie. For the most part, we agree on a lot of stuff. And one of the things we agree on is religion. Charlie, I don't think, is as in the faith as I am now, and I'm not very in the faith myself. I'm not great at being in the faith, but I do try. And we'll hear what Charlie has to say because Charlie's where I found most of this information.
There are certain subjects I make a lot of content covering. There are just a handful of topics that always wiggle their way underneath my skin and grease my cheeks, and I can't find. It's not subtle, it's unapologetic. I mean, Jiminy Christmas, Trump was hawking and is still actively hawking Trump Bibles. Expensive Bibles for like 60 clams with Trump's name on them and numerous variants of it.
Now, I'd heard about the Bibles before this, but I didn't really think nothing of it. I didn't realize the price of them. And then you can see right here, Washington AP, thousands of copies of Donald Trump's God Bless the USA Bible were printed in a country that the former president has repeatedly accused of stealing American jobs and engaging in unfair trade practices. China. Let me close myself out here so that we can keep reading. Global trade records reviewed by the Associated Press show a printing company in China's eastern city of, however the fuck you say that, Hangzhou, shipped close to 120,000 of the Bibles to the United States earlier this year. The estimated value of these three separate shipments was $342,000, or less than $3 per Bible, which Trump is selling for $60 to $1,000. Okay, that to me is
range in price from $60 up to $1,000, and also a little fun tiddlywink of lore here. They're printed in China, so they're made for less than $3 per Bible. Yet he jacks the price up to $60 for the lowest plebeian edition of his Bible. But it goes all the way up to $1,000 for the one that has Trump's signature on the inside cover. Like, I just don't know how that's defending this phenomenon and is serving to normalize this practice.
So now I want to talk about the spiritual advisor. This is Trump's spiritual advisor saying that wherever she goes, God rules, and the White House is protected by God when she's there because she says so.
Where I go, God rules. When I walk on White House grounds, God walks on White House grounds. I had every right and authority to declare the White House as holy ground because I was standing there, and where I stand is holy.
Okay, I can't take a statement like that without sitting there and thinking, maybe you're not a great person. Maybe this is using the Lord's name in vain. Maybe people that say, God damn it, aren't as bad as this woman that says, hey, where I stand is holy. I say what's holy. I don't think you do, lady. I think you're a lunatic, is what I think. I think you're a little fucking unhinged. And I think that we're going to see some more videos that I'm really starting to question Donald Trump's faith and whether or not he's just been using the guise of Christianity to kind of better his what's the word I want to say? Not public opinion, but yeah, I guess we'll use public opinion for lack of a better term to kind of better his public outlook. That's what I was looking for. He wanted to be looked on more favorably. You know, he's saying, oh yes, I'm a Christian. I've always been a Christian, and maybe so, but not to a great extent, because I think that a great Christian would not sell $1,000 Bibles. I think a great Christian might be like, man, I don't feel right about this. Profiting off the Lord's name. I think that's a little much for most people. But let's hear our next unhinged statement.
This is a...
Hang on a second. I missed my click there. Hang on.
Because I was standing there, and where I stand is holy.
To say no to President Trump would be saying no to God.
and I won't do that.
This is a montage that kind of blew up a few months ago. A lot of people have seen this, and it shows some of Paula White Cain's more recent highlights about how she can declare the White House is holy ground because she walked there and God walks with her. And also, she proudly proclaims that saying no to Trump would be like saying no to God, and she's never going to do that. I had the longer section saved, but
I think there's a certain point where you start saying things and you've lost the plot, and I think it's safe to say these people have lost the plot. There's one more section I want to talk about here where she is essentially auctioning for a megachurch, demanding money, demanding $100,000. Someone will donate $100,000. 10 people will donate $10,000. 100 people will donate $1,000. We're going to make this church $100,000. I don't believe in this at all. I think this is abhorrent. I think this is the antithesis of Christianity. I think this is the antithesis of the vow of poverty that Jesus took. So let's play
so
this.
common now is just gross. It's so fucking abhorrent. Paula White Cain is a televangelist demon. Her whole career is built off of begging for money from her followers, and she still actively does that while being the spiritual advisor to Donald Trump. In fact, her 2026 Unleashed conference, she had this wonderful moment.
Because I'm telling you, there's an anointing of release right now. I want $100,000 to come in. I want $100,000. There are 10 people that could give $10,000. There's 100 people that could give $1,000.
How selfless, how noble. She wants $100,000. Fork it over, cough it up, guys. Where's the $100,000? I know I said that she begs for money, but it's actually more accurate to say that she demands money. And she tries to present it as though if you don't give money to her, you are doing a disservice in the eyes of the Lord. This is a common tactic used by televangelists that have done this for many, many moons now, but very few of them have the same kind of power and influence that Paula White Cain does. One notable person that I'm sure a lot of you have heard of and someone that I've made a couple videos on is Kenneth Copeland. He is the guy who's very...
Okay, so the rest of this is other conversation. So I don't agree with these televangelists. I think these are wolves in sheep's clothing, right? They're people saying, I speak for the Lord, and the Lord says I should have a Lamborghini and you shouldn't, okay? The Lord tells me I should be rich beyond my wildest dreams. You should not. Should not. You should be the reason I'm rich, because I speak to the Lord. What's the price? What is the price for a connection with God? There's no price you would pay to be connected with God, is there? No. So you'll donate the $10,000 that I tell you to donate. And I think these people are sick. I think these people are unhinged lunatics. If I'm being blatantly honest about it, which I usually am, because why wouldn't I be? These people disgust me. Televangelists are disgusting. The fact that Trump chose a televangelist to be his spiritual advisor, it bothers me deeply. It bothers me that Trump is willing to sell Bibles for $60, $100, $1,000. Like I said, I think my Bible was $25 or $30. Wasn't a very expensive Bible, and it was just a King James. I do believe, from everything I've read, the King James is the most accurate and best Bible to get if you are looking to get a Bible. I mean, I'm not the authority to talk about biblical scholarship. I am far from that. I'm just an idiot, and sometimes I read the thing. You know, I look up things when I have a problem, when I need to figure something out. I will look up on Google or whatever what verses and chapters to read, because I don't have a pastor to go to. I don't go to church regularly, so I'll look up what verses in the Bible talk about this thing? Then I'll go read those verses in the Bible. I mean, it's not like I'm a pounding, you read this book, you know this book front to back. Probably should. But if you don't know it front to back, at least have it. And, maybe put some Post-it notes in there that you can use as quick reference points and highlight the important parts for whatever you got going on. I mean, it's your book, We're gonna buy a second Bible, and we're gonna have one that we can mark and write, put notes in, and highlight, and we're gonna have a second one that is used as like the nice Bible. Well, actually, my wife got the nice one. We already bought it, but she has the nice one, the one for actually just reading through, and then we're gonna make mine the reference book, kind of like if you're, I don't know if you're old enough to remember when you would get Game Informer magazines, and they would have certain pages would tell you how to do certain parts of certain games, and you would mark that page so that you could go to the Game Informer magazine and you could read that part, or you would get like the how-to book for Skyrim, and you would like Post-it note certain stuff for playthroughs. That's kind of what we're doing here. Is we're Post-it noting this playthrough book, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. But I just find this behavior, I find it abhorrent that Trump is willing to wipe his ass with the Christian faith to make a buck. Because at the end of the day, that's what I feel like he's doing. And like I said, I'm not some holy speaker for Christianity. I'm just a guy who believes, and I try to do my best. It's really frustrating, though, to see someone making immense amounts of profit off of Christianity that more than likely don't go back into the faith. It would be different if he was selling these Bibles at these crazy rates, and it was getting, every cent was getting donated back to Christian organizations, but I don't believe that's the case, and I didn't find anything about it when I looked into the Trump Bible thing. So I don't believe that is what's happening. I think this is just profit, and I think that profiting off the Lord's name it's not right. Now, that being said, if you make a video and you preach and you profit off that, I don't have a problem with that. When you're begging people for money in the name of the Lord, I have a problem with that. When you're telling people, you'll buy my Bible for $1,000 because my Bible's better than that Bible, I have a problem with that. When you're saying God wants you to give me $100,000, I have a problem with that. You make a video and you say, hey, I'm a Christian, here's what I think, I want to read the Bible to you, and you get paid out ad revenue, I have no problem with that. I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. I think that's actually a great thing. I think people should be able to preach independently of churches, and if YouTube, Rumble, whatever it is willing to pay for that, I'm all for it, because it spreads the word. But anyway, I digress. I know normally I talk about like news and politics and stuff, but this is just something that kind of, I saw it and I was like, I don't feel right about this. So I had to yap about it. So I'll leave it there. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you all in the next one.